It is a pleasure and a limitation also to be the last of the speakers. And after this, of course, the panel discussions are going to be happening. I was just listening to many of the numbers that were being spoken about by many of our esteemed earlier speakers. And there's just one suggestion. As somewhat elderly person, I can say that it will be good in case the numbers can be checked. Some of them were too low and some of them were too high. It's good to check it up. And we can definitely help out because my council happens to be the apex organization which has been set up by the government, by all the infrastructure ministries, PSUs, and also the construction organizations. The limitations are very well known, but I can give you some of the dimensions when it comes to the total quantum of work that we have on the anvil. And that is scary, let me tell you. Even I am very, very scared. I give you this very rough example. Today we have mass rapid transit system. We call them in colloquial terms the metro rail systems. 22 metro rail systems, 4 connecting hub systems, and more are growing by the month or by quarter. And each one of them having a budgetary provision of close to almost like 60,000 crores of rupees to 1,50,000 crores of rupees. You can multiply that and you can get an idea of the numbers. And mind you, this whole money has been borrowed. The organizations such as Asian Development Bank, World Bank, and even our own financial institutions are also putting in huge sums of money. This is just one sector. Go to the highways. We are talking of something like 1,000,000 crore worth of work which is on the anvil. Housing anyway is of anybody's guess. Nobody really knows how much housing is being constructed, even though you may keep taking the figures from RERA and organizations like that within the government. But fact of the matter is that much of the housing is being constructed now in the hinterland, which is the urban areas, which is unaccounted for. The municipal corporations absolutely have no numbers. But there are some very interesting figures that you have. India produces almost 475 million tons of cement. And if you convert that into total quantum of work that is actually being executed, you would know that at this particular point in time, the pace of the work is close to about 10 to 12 lakh crores of rupees per year. That is the kind of situation that we have. There are extraneous reasons and there are systemic reasons. And let me tell you, and I'll pick up from Mr. Nirmalya, who was the last one to have spoken, where he was expressing the limitation that 30 state governments and central government and putting in the regulation. Because without regulation, definitely, and that being harmonized, nothing hardly ever happens for that matter. That is one very major handicap that you have. There are, of course, many more which I will be picking up. So how do we go about that? The procurement systems, which are a derivative of the policies that state government or central government or PSUs or any other large corporation puts up, they are erroneous and full of flaws for that matter. They need to be removed. Unless you do that, I doubt very much whether the things can be done. So the tender documents, which in the colloquial language that we speak, they need to start reflecting the kind of new technological innovations that we wish to bring into our functioning. If you do not do that, then forget about it. I have my friend sitting here from Builder Association of India, and we had been having an afternoon full of discussions as to how exactly the problems are being faced by the executing agencies. So let me go back to a few other things which definitely you all ought to know. And when we talk about awareness and level of percolation of the knowledge and wisdom and other things, I had a wonderful experience very recently. Just a month ago, I was invited by Lal Bahadur Administrative Academy at Mussoorie, which is the apex institution where the Indian civil services officers are trained. And I had the good fortune of meeting personally about 250 odd young men and women. And surprising part was that almost 40% of them, or even more, they were graduate engineers. And the reason for which I was invited was that in the hinterland, the kind of village development work or the kind of mufassil development work that is taking place, that has assumed a huge, volume. And today's administrative officer, the prime responsibility is that he should be able to construct this infrastructure. What was the level of awareness? I spoke to them. They had little idea about building information modeling. I'm sorry to say this. They had little idea about, you can say, the environmental situations or carbon footprints and embodied energy and things like that, and several other things. But they were all engineers, near about half of them. So where exactly the mismatch is? And to Nemetschek, I would basically recommend very strongly, while welcoming them to be in India, that let them reach out to those corners where the knowledge needs percolation. If you do not do that, then we will be just simply floating on the surface and we will not be in a position to really take the benefit of the new technology that you have. So I will just list out some 9 or 10 major issues and just think about it as to how we can basically go and start improving the process. I have Dr. Subbarao who's sitting here, who's one of our most leading consultants. Of course, he comes from a very illustrious family. His father was a teacher to me and a very capable and wonderful construction engineer. We have stopped calling ourselves as civil engineer anymore. We are construction engineers because there are at least about 7 disciplines of work that we ought to know. I will start with the first deficiency, and that is the procurement systems or conditions of contract that need to be corrected. And how can they be corrected unless otherwise the new technology providers like you don't interact with the people who are actually designing these procurement systems? And who are the people who are designing these procurement systems? That is my council, Construction Industry Development Council, which works with Niti Aayog and puts up the standardized contract conditions. That's number one. Engagement of non-skilled certified workers. We now have a very serious problem that an average young person does not want to really go and work at construction sites. They would rather like to be sitting, even civil engineers, they would like to be sitting in an office room in front of a console, work on the computers. So we have a tremendous shortage of non-skilled certified construction workers. And mind you, there was a time, I have spent almost 5 decades in construction. Every state used to provide the construction workers when I started my career. Now it is only limited to 4 or 5 states. You have Uttar Pradesh, and that too eastern UP, not western UP. You have Bihar, you have Jharkhand, part of Odisha. Some come from Chhattisgarh and Bengal. Now even the Bengali workers have gone down. What to talk of a skill certification? Even availability is a difficulty. Engagement of field engineers with deficient understanding of the work practices. Where are the civil engineers or mechanical engineers or electrical engineers who are willing to be at site and do the things? We need to look at them. I'm talking about the basic fundamental work practices. I've already spoken about conditions of contract and procurement. Using construction materials where the quality is questionable. We have heard in last month itself, there were about 16 bridges that had fallen down. This is not a laughing matter, sir. Let me tell you, this is a very sad story. And majority of these bridges, they were part of the rural road development project, which used to be at one point in time the best project in the country. 7 lakh kilometers of roads have been created. You can imagine jolly well that almost 50,000 bridges exist there. They are small bridges, but they are connecting the hinterland. How they have been constructed, what material has been used, quality issues come there. Are our engineers aware of that? Non-adherence to quality and safety systems and protocols. That was already mentioned. But let me also tell you, here is a very, very major problem. Deficient process of shortlisting of capable construction agencies and consultants. So in CIDC, that is Construction Industry Development Council, by end of July, I am going to be making an announcement of having a contractors and consultants rating scheme. We initiated it almost 15 years ago for the financial institutions. And we told them that please be careful while you are lending to the agencies who come to you. The point is that we have now too much of work to be done and we cannot afford to fail. We want to be the third biggest economy in the world, but fact of the matter is that we have to be very, very cautious about the kind of problems that are existing within the systems. Absence of continuous supervision. We have to chalk out now a plan as to who are the people who are going to be doing the supervision and control of the things. All IT tools are perfectly fine, but construction is a field where physically people have to be there. You cannot eliminate that. It's extremely important. It's like that you have plenty of equipment and systems and automation, but surgery has to be conducted by a surgeon only. You cannot eliminate the surgeon. You cannot get operated. What are we doing as the apex body? We are taking it up with the state governments. We are talking to the public sector undertakings. We have already started joining hands with many of the large project authorities to bring in all such systems into position. So to you, Nemetschek and others, my advice will be that this is a battle that cannot be fought alone. Join hands. We talk about the green building and things like that. It's very nice to have that plaque which says that platinum rated or gold rated or silver rated and things like that. But what about the embodied energy that is actually vested in the building? And when I say total embodied energy, I mean to say not only the structural elements, but also the facade, also the kind of decorative elements and things like that. Let me give you a good news. At this moment, CIDC is the only one who has created a schedule of embodied energy. In the first place itself, if you have put in the materials which have already consumed plenty of energy, then how exactly are you going to have a true green building? And why building alone? Why not metro? Why not bridges? Why not flyovers? Because buildings are only just one small part of the total infrastructure segment. So we have to start looking at all these things also. To IGBC, I invite. Let's sit down together and start working at it, because the larger segment is actually left unattended. Please understand that. You cannot just have a token service being done. So these are the kind of things that we have to really look at. Otherwise, we'll keep on talking about being the third largest economy in the world, creating the largest physical infrastructure in the world. But fact of the matter is that we are in a problem. Let me also caution anybody and everybody here. All that we had been talking was about the superstructure construction, what was over the ground. Some of my friends who are basically geoscientists, they would understand that there is much mystery beneath the surface of Earth. What transpires there? Why exactly the bridges are collapsing? Where is the drainage in the town centers? Why exactly our sewer pipelines are getting choked totally? These are the questions. I am referring to trenchless technology that all of us will have to start looking at. Go deeper down the earth, surface of the earth. There are many unpleasant surprises waiting for us there. These are the cautionary notes. We'll be the happiest people around if we are able to eliminate even half of them. I would need your cooperation and help. Remain in touch. God bless you all. Thank you so much.